Human relationships. What is the most complicated thing in the world? Some people would say jobs or health, but human relationships are typically known for their complications and misunderstandings. Dear listeners, welcome, and let's try to understand the concept of today's topic of human relationships.
Sloboda je kľúčom k nezávislosti. No, čo sloboda znamená pre teba? Štvorka ťa nebude obmedzovať. Sloboda pre mladých nie je len paušál. Sú to otvorené dvere do nového slobodného života. Tak daj záväzky bokom a prejdi do štvorky. Voľné minúty, SMS-ky a mobilné dáta dostaneš už za 4 eurá mesačne, a to bez viazanosti. Všetko vyriešiš pohodlne na webe slobodapremladých.sk alebo v mobilnej appke Moja štvorka. Stačí, aby si mal potvrdenie o štúdiu. Tak na čo ešte čakáš?
Humans are social beings, and it is completely understandable that we need to socialize, be part of a collective at school or work, and fulfill our need for participation. This need is connected to early times when it was essential to live and work with groups in order to survive. Groups of people were stronger than individuals because they could protect each other easily. Units evoke the feeling of safety inevitable for survival. All of these features are characteristic of today's world too, but they are mostly visible within the family and groups where we belong. Communities stick together and have a common goal that connects people. Belonging somewhere is a very significant part of our lives because it also determines our inner values, shapes our personality, and enriches us on many levels. The natural need to be surrounded by people starts at birth. We form relationships with our parents and relatives, and later we look for friendships and other types of relationships. We play out different roles, each consisting of different duties and tasks. We are daughters, sons, siblings, friends, partners, roommates, classmates, and so on. Every role requires a slightly different pattern of behaviour. When we acquire the ability to develop human relationships, however, this becomes a lifelong, never-ending process. Every relationship has its own typical communication, length, quality, and trust reflecting the type of relationship. Formal relationships occur at work or at school, as well as in shops, offices, and with strangers, including diplomatic relationships between politicians. This relationship is very polite and reserved. The distance and respect are visible, but it doesn't mean that these relationships are cold. They are only official. Feelings are not that much involved. However, we are only humans, and sometimes, depending on the situation, a formal relationship might turn into an informal, friendly one. We form these relationships in order to create closeness, trust, intimate conversations, and a feeling of complete comfort. Informal relationships exist in school between classmates, friends, or siblings, and within the close family. Romantic relationships are based on love, passion, commitment, and trust between two partners. Long-term relationships are sought after for the comfort and feeling of home and safety they bring. Whereas in short-term relationships, people are usually only trying to find these elements. How to find a partner? Easy to ask, but hard to answer. Nowadays, it is modern to meet partners online, on dating applications like Badoo or Tinder. People look for their ideal partner according to their profiles and in the information written about them. After making contact, they meet face-to-face and decide whether it is worth building a relationship, or rather, say goodbye. This process is easy to describe, however, reality is more difficult. Many people are single, also maybe because access to applications and online dating is easy. Relationships are demanding in terms of empathy and understanding, and they require patience and determination. It takes us time to build a strong foundation and develop it at other levels over time. It sounds terribly difficult, but the right person can make it a little easier. Our advice, don't give it up as soon as it becomes more complicated, because where there's a will, there's a way. Are you asking now what to do when things get complicated in a relationship? Communication is the key. Do you have a problem with your boss or friend? Talk to them. Do you disagree with your parents about going to piano lessons? Talk to them. The right communication might save and resolve many things. However, you don't always become a hero after having a serious conversation in a conflict. The recipe for a successful conversation includes listening and the highest skills, understanding and comprehension. Being empathic and trying to comprehend your partner's feelings in a particular situation is a must in a healthy relationship. And here's the snag. Not everyone is capable of empathy, and everyone has a different level of understanding. It is said and proved that women and men come from different planets, and compatibility between these two genders is sometimes hard to find. However, it is true in every relationship that when a conflict appears, the partners should communicate, apologize for any possible mistakes, and make a compromise to resolve the conflict and move on. The relationship with our parents is a very important factor in determining our future relationships with others. The way they raise us, how they treat each other and solve situations, this tells us what patterns and primary idols we will have in our lives. When we observe the relationship between our parents, some of us say that we will never behave like that in our own families, even sometimes without realizing that we do behave like that. Or we say that our lives should look like theirs. We are the creators, but parents can instill the values and virtues of relationships in us, and it is only up to us as to how we use the information and knowledge gained within our family. Raising children is said to be the most difficult job ever. Do you believe this? You should, but you will never know unless you try yourselves. There are different styles of upbringing, and we can demonstrate them on a polar scale. On one side of the scale, there is an authoritative parent who doesn't care that much about a child's needs. This parent is someone who decides about everything and doesn't allow the kid to be out on Friday till midnight. Strict parents give you discipline and usually responsibility, but children also need their freedom and the feeling that they are trusted by their parents. Sometimes these kids become problematic and rebellious. When parents don't look after their children too much, they are also called lax and permissive. Basically, the children can do anything they want. Kids have lots of freedom and do whatever they like without any rules or commitment. This opposite position on the scale is also very counterproductive. The child might become anxious and unconfident in the future. The best and ideal way of raising kids is the golden democratic mean, consisting of rules, partial freedom, a healthy interest, and communication. Have you found yourself in these descriptions? If so, and you don't like the way your parents treat you, try to talk to them. It won't be easy because no one likes to admit their mistakes, but it is worth a try because family is the basic unit that'll probably be part of our lives permanently. Some of you might be sad to hear the word permanently. Particular situations in relationships can cause conflict and distance between partners, which can lead to divorce. Parents' divorce may be on the one hand positive, but it also has a negative impact, mostly on children. The reasons behind divorce can include alcoholism, cheating, gambling, a loss of feelings, and others. Children usually blame one parent for the divorce because the situation is unacceptable for them. In this case, a psychologist might be helpful to make them understand and adjust to the current family status. The relationships between parents and kids are usually tense and strained, which is not the consequence of divorce only, but also of the fact that children are growing up. Opinions about particular things such as lifestyle, partners, or other important decisions are the object of arguments and discussions. The generation gap or lack of experience might bring different views, and only compromise and empathy can save this situation appearing in every family and parenthood. What comes to mind when you hear the word toxicity? No, we aren't talking about toxic chemicals, but about toxic relationships. This notion is becoming more and more popular on social media, which doesn't really mean that it's a positive thing. Some people can't filter information and might consider every relationship toxic. Be careful about that and try to see the boundaries and differences. Toxic relationships are mostly characterized by people who don't treat their partners equally. Their attitude is based on manipulation, or they have a negative impact on the other partner in the relationship, including in a non-violent sense. This person might feel neglected, cheated, and used. Partners just enjoy the benefits, but they don't take the responsibility and commitment. In the event of an argument, toxic partners usually blame the other side without taking into consideration that it might actually be their fault. If you ever get into this type of relationship when you feel bad and guilty about everything, it is better to leave and put an end to this partnership. Remember that it is important not to lose yourself for somebody else just to be liked temporarily. Dear listeners, relationships make up a huge part of our lives, and if you want to know a bit more about them, just stay with us for a while. Don't forget that relationships go both ways, which means that both sides of the relationship or friendship should make the same effort in terms of meetings, conversation, and maintenance. Be aware of your expectations and treat people the way you want to be treated. You need to express your feelings and show the people around you how important they are and what a priority they represent in your life. Only time and concrete acts can reveal what friends and partners you have around. And yes, we know, sometimes it is unfair that you dedicate so much time and energy to one person and then it is blown away. But don't despair. The right people will stand by you in the critical moments of your life, and your heart, and of course your intuition, will tell you just who is around you. This will tell you the difference between a friend in need is a friend indeed, or who is just a friend in need contacting you only in a problematic situation. If you want to stay in touch with your friends, you need to keep in contact and remain close via phone calls and meetings, of course. Your relationship will survive arguments, different stages of your lives, and become stronger and indivisible. Even if you are in a relationship or already married, it is important to take care of your friendships and talk to people other than your partner. Boys or a girls' night out might be a good solution to save both friendships and relationships at the same time, to remain relaxed and bring a boost of energy to each bond. Okay, so let us conclude what we have said today. Human relationships are a necessity for people's life. However, it takes hard work to take care of them. We should understand the value of family, friends, partners, and others around us, and not take them for granted like an automatic part of our lives. Mutual effort and endeavour lead to successful relationships full of love, empathy, and understanding, even in situations when it is not easy. However, these moments are decisive in letting us discover our environment and determining whether the relationships are either toxic or prosperous. Dear listeners, thank you very much for listening. If you liked this episode, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or write a comment on YouTube. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. We hope you listen to us again soon.